It's time to touch our bags and drop our sack on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Mailbag time, where we ask you guys to submit your questions to us. All things Seahawks, as we have the latest from Seahawks OTAs. We'll give you our analysis, our thoughts based on the questions you guys have for us coming up in just a moment. Before we do that, you may be wondering, how can I be a part of your next mailbag show? Well, we do these mailbags every Wednesday. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be the first to know when we go live, and we're bringing you new content here on Seahawks Today. So subscribe now, turn on notifications, never miss a moment, lock us in, and you too can be a part of our next live mailbag show where people use the hashtag Seahawks and Super Chat. We answer their questions in real time. Join the family, subscribe now, turn on notifications. We'll get started with today's show. We begin with Donald with a $5 Super Chat, writes in, hashtag Seahawks. Do you think the Seahawks will have a top 10 defense and offense this year? All right, let's start with the offense. The offense has a lot of weapons, right? Quite the arsenal for Geno Smith to work with this year. And I think this offensive system is going to play to Geno's strengths. It's a very familiar scheme to what he ran in college at West Virginia and played at a extremely high level in. So with that said, if the offensive line can hold up, they can be a top 10 offense. Defensively, though, with this team coming from having, the 27th ranked defense last year and all the struggles they went through, yes, they've improved. They made some good investments. But it's going to be a big step up from 27th. I think if they go top 15, that would be a huge improvement. I think that's the more realistic goal, about top 15 defense in the NFL for Seattle here. A lot of young players, too. They still got to develop. We'll see what they do. One crazy Florida guy with a $2 Super Chat writes in, do you think Seattle will make any big moves? I hope so. I think the Seahawks need to make one more splash defensively, but they don't have a ton of cap space to work with, and so that kind of holds them back a bit, right? And you look at where this team is positioning themselves for the long term. They want to keep every draft pick they can for the most part. So I can't imagine them wanting to give up too much draft capital. So I would lean towards no. If I was in charge, there would be another move. But I think more than likely they're going to kind of roll with what they have. We'll see. W writes in, what does the future hold for Tyler Lockett after this season? Hashtag Seahawks. Glad you asked, W. So when you look at Tyler Lockett's contract situation, beyond this year, the Seahawks would have to pay Tyler Lockett next year. He would have a cap hit of about $30 million. They cannot afford to be paying Tyler Lockett $30 million next year. This is more than likely Tyler Lockett's final year with the Seattle Seahawks. That's what most people are saying around OTAs and over the last couple of weeks, that if you're a Seahawks fan and you're debating whether to go to a game this year, to see Tyler Lockett play one last time in a Seahawks uniform, this is probably your last opportunity to do so because they can't afford that. Maybe he restructures. Maybe he's willing to take a discount or something, or they can move around some money. But at least right now, that $30 million cap hit, they can't afford to take on. And they shouldn't take on. They shouldn't be taking on a $30 million cap hit for Tyler Lockett. As much as I love the guy, and as much as he's done for the Seattle Seahawks, it doesn't make financial sense whatsoever. I think this is more than likely it for Tyler Lockett. But I know he wants to retire, member of the Seahawks. Maybe he's willing to work with them and adjust some things and come back after next year. We'll see. What do you guys think? Pin comment today. Will this be Tyler Lockett's final season in Seattle? You have two options. You can type either Y for yes, or you can type N for no. Which one's it going to be? Weigh in our pin comment today. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose two or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less. Whether you're talking fantasy points, maybe it's rebounds in basketball, home runs in baseball, goals in hockey. We got all sorts of different categories to choose from. In fact, we're already looking ahead to the start of the NFL season. We got our guy DK Metcalf to have more than 1,025.5 receiving yards this season. Also going with Lamar Jackson to have more than 3,600.5 passing yards. If both those hit and we put $20 down, we're turning into $60 on Prize Picks, folks. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match on your first deposit. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Proud partner of Seahawks Today. Powered by Chat Sports. Tony Hawk. What a legend. What happened to Tony Hawk? I feel like I haven't seen the guy in at least 5 years. And pro skating has become irrelevant since Tony Hawk kind of just fell off the face of the earth. Anyway, Tony's in the chat. He says, when should we expect to see an extension for Boye Mafe? So, Tony, I'm glad you asked. This has been another topic of conversation, if you will, over the last several weeks when it comes to extension candidates about Boye Mafe. And here's the situation for the Seahawks when it comes to Boye, is that because he was a second-round pick, not a first-round pick, he doesn't have a fifth-year option, right? His contract's up after 4 seasons. He's already 2 years in. He's got 2 years to go. And let's say, for all intents and purposes, if Boye has a big year this year, his price tag is going to go way up with 2 really good years of production. If I'm the Seahawks, and this team is in a position where they need some cap flexibility, not a whole lot of cap space to work with right now, they can move some money down the road, whatever it may be, get some cap relief, if you will, by extending Boye Mafe now. I've seen enough from Boye Mafe where I look at him and I say, yeah, I want him on my team for a long time. I want to lock him down for the long term. I would go ahead and take care of this before the season begins. That way you can have that financial flexibility to go add another piece, if you will, and go forward from there. That's what I see happening as the Seahawks get something done sooner than later and keep Boye Mafe around for the long term. What do you guys think? How should the Seahawks handle this? Should they go ahead and extend Boye Mafe now, or should they wait till later? Type E for extend, type W for wait. Let us know what you think. Is now the right time to go ahead and extend Boye or not? Let us know. Thomas Bridges writing in. Who wins more games this season, the Seahawks or the Jayhawks? Thomas, great question. Referring to both of my bird teams. My school, the University of Kansas Jayhawks, and, of course, the Seattle Seahawks. Let's start with the Seahawks here. I think the Seahawks are about a 9-win team. 9, maybe 10, borderline playoff team as things stack up right now. My Kansas Jayhawks, meanwhile, I think they got a great shot to go to the Big 12 title game. And they got a very favorable schedule this year as well. If Jalen Daniels stays healthy, there's no reason why KU can't win 10 games or more and contend for the Big 12 and potentially a college football playoff spot this year. No offense to the Seahawk fans. Don't be on me for this. This is more so about my Jayhawks than it is about the Seahawks. I'm all in on KU. Rock chalk Jayhawk. This is going to be a season of breakthrough for Lance Leipold and company. I got 10-plus wins for the Jayhawks, Big 12 title berth, and a potential spot in the college football playoff. Give me the Jayhawks to get more wins than the Seahawks this year, but in a perfect world, they both win a lot of games this year. Seth writes in, 2 more questions. I'm concerned about the linebackers, especially when it comes to depth and already some injury concerns. How do you guys feel about it, or are there any other areas of concern for you guys? I'm very concerned. We got the update this week that Jerome Baker is not going to be back for minicamp, that his expected return is going to be training camp. And that's kind of what the hope is. If you recall, he actually failed his physical with the Dolphins, and that's what led to his release. And then beyond that, but beyond him and Dodson, there is a weakness there. There's not a ton of other options, right? When you look at, all right, you're going to turn to Tyrese Knight, the rookie, to get significant playing time. John Radigan's never really done much. I'm very concerned. Linebacker, to me, is the number one concern for this group right now. The offensive line is a big concern as well. I don't know if Abraham Lucas is ever going to get 100% healthy again. The interior of the offensive line's got question marks. Those are the 2 things I'm looking at. Last question coming in from Hank. Hank wants to know who will have a better second year, JSN or Devin Witherspoon. I think both guys are going to be fantastic this upcoming season. But I'm going to go with Devin Witherspoon. I think Devin Witherspoon is going to go off. I think he's going to have another Pro Bowl campaign and might even be in position to be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. That's how good Devin Witherspoon can be. JSN, I think, is looking at potentially working his way to be the number 2 receiver for this Seahawks team, and he can have a big year. But Devin Witherspoon, I think, is just going to go off this year. I would take Witherspoon. I think he has the better shot. For more Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seahawks Today. For daily happenings in your favorite team, we got you covered. Subscribe now. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time.